The way that society is set up, and I'd say that this is pretty much worldwide, transitioning into gray or silver hair, it can feel like the scariest, most daunting thing that you would want to avoid at all costs. But I have a little bit of a different way of thinking about it by stepping back, clearing your head of everything that you have been taught about gray hair and approaching it from a different angle, a new angle with wide open eyes, eyes full of hope, with the understanding that all women are beautiful. It's just a matter of finding your own beauty. We're conditioned to think about things in very narrowly defined boxes, but it is so important to allow yourself to have the space to think outside of the box. Now, I've worked as a hairstylist for over 30 years, and one thing that has been so profoundly wonderful to me is innovation and innovative thoughts, new thoughts, being able to think of things in ways that people haven't thought about them before. And as I'm maturing, I am finding that to be such a flex and such a thing to embrace and enjoy. And I want to share 3 things that may help you on your journey as you transition into silver or gray hair, or even if you're thinking about it. So number 1, picking the right color, right shade of gray. I used to be really hesitant to play around with hair color. And as I've gotten older, I've been playing around with color like I never have before. And I always thought that when you were transitioning into gray, you want to take it slow, you want to do things subtly. But what I found is that when you take that approach, at least for me, you can wind up in this in-between, like, murky gray phase that I don't find complimentary, especially as a melanated woman. What I realized about that was that I had this mindset where your hair has to be really close to your skin tone. And over the years, I have realized that that is definitely not the case. And very often, the further you depart from the color value of your skin tone, the more beautiful it can actually look. It can actually make it look like you have a bit of a glow to you. So when I wear hair that is this darker gray color, I mean, it's a color that can work, but I feel like it can have like a little bit of a, well, you can't see it too well in this light, but it can have a bit of a murkiness that it doesn't pop. It just feels like, like that. If that makes any sense. But when I put on like a vibrant silver kind of white gray, I feel like it just makes everything pop, especially, like I said, against melanated skin. That's just my personal observation and the observation of women who I've worked with in terms of transitioning into gray. So number 1, again, is that you want to be careful how you choose the color and expand your thinking. Experiment a bit. We want to kind of just take it slow and, move our way into things. But as I play around with gray more, I'm just going straight to the white, straight to the silver. In my mind, that seems like, okay, I think of that as being something way down the line. And I never think of it as being something that can look fresh and vibrant and exciting and attractive and glowy. Those are not the adjectives that have been in my mind and may not be in yours when you think about white hair. In practice, I find that white hair just can give you this beautiful glowy sort of a look. Number 2, think about keeping it simple. Now, when I would think about silver and gray hair, I would have like these visions in my mind of like when I was a little girl and like I'd be at church and there would be the ladies who pass out the peppermints, and we love those women. Yet there are hairstyles that I just have associated in my mind with just having like a stifled femininity to them, like I gave upness about them, but they're also fancy. Like I envision like these really like elaborate curls and elaborate updos with silver hair. If that's your jam, more power to you. But making the move into the silver and gray realm, I have found that simple styles where the silhouette is like not too much can be really beautiful. There's a simplicity that like makes you look refreshed. And there's a complexity that can make you look stifled and add a heaviness to your look. So I prefer when I'm wearing silver and gray tones to keep the hairstyle pretty simple. Like this wig that I'm wearing, it's really nice and kinky in the roots and the edges, so I don't have to use leave out, and I love that. But what I love even more is the very natural, simple silhouette that it has. Like this wig, I could trim the edges of it, like to make it look a little bit sharper, but I actually like this kind of natural sort of layered, grown out look. That I feel like makes it look really natural to me. Like here, my hair kind of grows this way. My hair has never been like the type of hair that grows to be like one nice long length. Like if I want it to be the same length, my natural hair, I have to like cut the back and to like line it up with the top. So when my hair grows out, it grows out in like this kind of formation, which just is more natural to me. And I like this kind of natural length and silhouette. And I also like that this particular wig is really like a bright white in the front. So my number 2 piece of advice is to keep the hairstyle on the simple side. Even if you're wearing braids, you might just like try to keep like a more simple silhouette. And it is not because like, oh, you're being boxed in, but as you look at yourself in the mirror, you know, you can decide what works best for you. But my experience has been that with gray hair, things just look a little bit more fresh and free when the silhouette is simple. The third thing that I would suggest when you are wearing gray hair has to do more with how you coordinate your overall look. Now, there are ways to look fancy, but still have like a sleekness to you. From my perspective, like a minimal, From my perspective, an intentional quiet is louder. That's my perspective. Now, what I mean by that is not that like you have to go out and like get yourself like a black choir robe and just call it a day. But I find that when you're wearing gray hair, if you are wearing like abundant florals and like plaids and just things that are real busy and loud, that can detract from the beauty of the silver hair. Like, in my opinion, the silver hair should be the star of the show. And the less that you have competing with it, the more beautiful it can look. When wearing silver hair, I start off with the dark neutrals because silver hair has the opportunity to just kind of pop off of a dark neutral. Now, if I had on like, I could have on like another color, like I could have it on even a fuchsia, but if I was wearing a fuchsia, I would probably do like a solid colored fuchsia with this type of hair, just because there's something in my eye, and it may not be in yours, that there creates this kind of visual competition that just looks overly busy and can sometimes even look confusing. So I start off like with a neutral base, the same way that this kind of silver sits in a beautiful opposition almost to my brown skin. It can sit in that same opposition, you know, against a brown top or like a burgundy top. Something solid, I think, really works best, because when you start getting into like busyness with gray, I think that just overall takes away from it. And to tell you the truth, we equate gray hair with like a look that just looks old. But really, I think what we're actually seeing, if we were to stop and interpret that, it can be more of a look that looks stale, a look that looks dated, a look that looks like it's not current and it's not interacting with the calendar. I think that that's more of what we're seeing when we psychologically consider something old. To get a more accurate perspective, I personally find it helpful to think of something as looking stale and dated or looking fresh, as opposed to looking young or looking old. Like there are certain clothes that like just look stale and dated, and there are certain clothes that look refreshing and renewed. So I think that that's a handy way to kind of be able to examine the choices that you're making when it comes to hair colors. Like this color to me, even though it's the same color of hair of like a lot of women who have kind of just thrown in the towel, I think that it has a freshness to it because of the way that it is styled and presented. So keep that in mind when you are picking hairstyles, and keep that in mind when you're thinking, I don't want to do that because it looks old. Maybe you're just thinking, I don't want to do that because it looks stale. And think of maybe a fresh and refreshing way to do something. At my age, I'm not trying to look young, but I do like to look fresh and refreshed. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that it is wonderful if you know, do what you need to do to your skin. Some of us don't have to do very much, some of us do. But to make decisions that can help you look refreshed on the outside as a reflection of what you're feeling on the inside. And I also find that there's like exchange, like when you are looking refreshed on the outside, and it can actually make you feel refreshed because you're showing up in the world in a fresh and refreshing way. And your interaction with the world, your feedback can be fresh and refreshing. So those are 3 things to consider when you are transitioning into gray. The tone of the gray, whether you want to do something that is a darker gray or a brighter gray, that's number 1. Number 2, considering the hairstyle that you choose when you are wearing gray, considering doing things that are sleek as opposed to whoop-de-doop-de and busy. And number 3, accessorizing and styling in a beautiful, simple way. I hope you found these 3 tips helpful, and I hope I'll see you here again.